All right, man. So what's been happening? You said there was some. You had a bit of an epiphany.
I had an epiphany. Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I think it was actually the night I finished editing the first podcast. Cause it was like finished it at like 8 p.m. probably like in the library at Ben Frank. And I went back to my dorm and like honestly like I was up for a while just like scrolling Instagram and like just honestly wasting time, not being productive. But yeah, it was like 1 a.m. and I just have this epiphany, this conniption. And cause like I was talking before like how I want to start like the video production stuff like around New Haven, going to different companies, making commercials, making music videos, making short films, like pretty much anything, along with the YouTube content that I want to start. But I was basically like, I'm wasting so much time, and I've already wasted so much time that like I feel like a lot of people have it, like those things where you're up in the middle of the night and you're all of a sudden like, I got to do all these different things. Like it's 3 a.m. and you're just like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to be super productive. I'm going to boom, boom, boom. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to start like reach out to these companies. And so that's kind of like what it was. But yeah, I was giving like LLCs, like how to start a business, all these things. How much money do you have to make to start paying taxes? And like all the stuff that like, I feel like no 18-year-old knows. And that's always really daunting about business and like trying to start your own things. But yeah, I had an epiphany, and it kind of like, I think I'm definitely going to start soon. I think I'm just going to reach out to a bunch of different places, just send out emails. Hey, I'm a Yale videographer, freshman. Can I come work for you? Can I shoot you a video?
Don't mention you're a freshman.
Don't?
No.
Okay, that's
yeah.
See, this is why I gotta talk it out with you. You know the things I need to say.
Yeah,
that's
just
the good
say you're
part.
at the Yale Film School. That's all you need to say.
I'm at the Yale Film School.
Yeah,
But I had a late night epiphany and realized that I needed to get my shit together and do things.
So why do you feel like you're wasting your time though?
I think it's just like not necessarily like in the moment wasting time, but like over the years, like I could have started this like doing these things, paid gigs, way back before I even went to college. Back in my hometown, like I could have reached out to different companies, different restaurants back there in Alabama, instead of waiting to get to college to start it. And so I think that's where the feeling of like wasting time comes from, is just putting these things off and like not starting these projects that you want to start.
So like you still have 10 months left of the year, or 8 months, or whatever it is. Like how could you see yourself using your time better?
Honestly, I need to just start making goals. Like yeah. I need to like say like, okay, at the end of this week, I'm going to like have this video shot for my YouTube channel, or I'm going to have reached out to this many number of people trying to get like business. Or just go in person and trying, like, I need to have like set goals, I think, because I think that's where like I falter, is like I have these dreams, I have these plans, I have these ideas, and my dad actually always says it, and he's right, like even though it like hurts, like it sucks to say, but like I forgot exactly what he says, but it's like whenever I tell him like an idea I have, he's like, I don't want to hear it, like show me like when you go do it.
Dang.
That's what I want to hear. I want to like you have to show me, you can't just like talk about it. And he's right, because like I have all these ideas I talk about and like I tell my family, but it's like I never like fully pursue them because it's not like set goals. It's not real until like you personally go out and physically do it.
Dang.
But yeah,
Papa Williams just freaking goes hard on you, eh?
He's good. He shaped me. Him and my mom both, they're great. They shaped me into who I am today. But like all the like it's tough love, I feel like, because like it's all stuff that he's right about. And like again, it kind of sucks to hear it in the moment, because you're like, it's basically the realization, oh shit, yeah, I do need to do this. I had the same thing happen like with the college applications. Like he had like a sit down talk, like you need to get your shit together and start these college applications, or like you're not going to be able to do the things you want to do. And I got my shit together, and now I'm at Yale. So I feel like,
damn, bro,
it's worked out before in the past, and so I'm hoping that it'll work out again now. But I guess only time will tell. But yeah, that was my condition.
Do you feel like you're putting too much pressure on yourself as an 18-year-old just starting undergrad college, or do you feel like this is just exactly what you need to do right now?
I don't think I'm putting too much pressure, but I think I do need to make sure it's healthy pressure. Like, I don't need to let it just turn into rampant anxiety about these things I want to do, but I'm not getting done, because then it'll interfere in the things that are important, that are like present, like academics, having a healthy social life, things like that. And so I think there's a good balance between the pressures you put on yourself. I think there's a difference between like the healthy pressures and the pressures that aren't helpful and healthy. And so I'm trying to keep it like a healthy, just a kind of like thorn in my back, like I need to be doing these things, and not let it become like a super oppressing, like, because I am an 18-year-old, I am like freshman in college, like, and you only live life once, so like you have to enjoy the things. Like, I'm never going to be a freshman 18-year-old in college again, so you got to do the things that like you do at that age and like in that time of your life. But at the same time, I feel like there is also like, you have to hold yourself to the things that you want, and if you don't start now, then you'll never start. Yeah,
I agree with that 100%. Cool. So do you think that would be negative for your academics?
I don't think so necessarily. I think I would be able to balance it. I think a lot of it comes down to making sure I'm not procrastinating, which has always been a big problem with me. Because if I'm not procrastinating and I'm productive, and like, then I can knock out my schoolwork probably like in one day, like where I usually stretch out to like the entire week, and then focus the rest of that time on doing things like filmmaking, writing, like things like that, and pursuing those goals. But like the sophomore I was talking about earlier, who's in the Yale film program, Molly Smith, but she was actually talking when I first met her, about how her freshman year, that like her academics honestly took a sideline to her film stuff. Like, she was so busy, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about being like a big fish in a small pond. Like, she gets so many offers, so many job opportunities, like being here at Yale, to either shoot like a senior's thesis film or shoot her own stuff or a commercial or whatever.
Why don't you share with the viewers the background of how you met Molly and that whole situation, and how she influenced you?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually through my mom, which my mom's a goat. Like, the entire college application process, she was like out there researching scholarships and like, hey, here's a film school you might want to look into, like, you should apply. And like, yeah, she's the best. But like, she found her YouTube just while doing her research. She was like,
she found Molly's YouTube channel?
Yeah, Mollywood Films. And she had a YouTube video that was like, I think it was going over my Yale application or something, or it was like talking about film school at Yale. And so my mom reached out to her. She found her Instagram through that. She DM'd her and was like, we're coming up to Yale to visit like this March. Can we just sit and like have coffee with you? Like, my son's interested in this, like the same stuff you're doing. And she responded and said, yeah. And like, we were talking, and we met her for coffee when we came up here. And yeah, I mean, that's her insight on like the film at Yale is honestly like what made me commit to Yale over NYU. She gave us like a private little tour of like the Yale campus and like some spots. And like, it basically gave me the confidence that I could pursue the things I wanted to at Yale, right? Like, I wasn't sure before. But yeah, that's how I met her. And it was during that first talk that she was talking about how her academics kind of got sidelined by all of her film work. And that like, honestly, like, it was for the best, because she was like getting a decent amount of money from these gigs. Like, she got to the point where she was getting so much work that she was turning down like relatively well-paying gigs just because she didn't have the time. And that's
so wait, what does it mean when you say well-paying gigs? I'm curious, in the film space, like, how much cash you guys making?
So that's actually that's something I haven't fully narrowed down myself. Because so many people charge so many different things, so many different ways for so many different types of work. Like, a lot of videographers or editors charge by the hour, which is like the most common one. And like, some people charge all the way from like $20 an hour, which is like on the low end, all the way up to like $100 an hour. And then that also varies depending on the type of edit. So like, it's like a really heavy like After Effects, like visual effects, a lot of work, a lot of time spent doing it. And if it's like something that requires a specific skill that not a lot of people have, then you can usually charge more. But then some people also do pay by the project. So like, say you're shooting a commercial for a company, they may be like, okay, $400 up front. That's what we'll like. That's the agreement that the business and the videographer make. And then the amount of hours spent working on that is just like that. Like it doesn't really matter because that's your pay.
So it's like a fixed fee.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fixed fee. So
but don't big production companies get like 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand for certain projects? Or?
Yeah. So, and usually the way that works is a lot of the time it is by the hour for, although honestly it still just depends. It kind of just comes down to the personal, like between the business and the videographer, which they prefer, and just as they talk it out and come to an agreement. But she was telling me, because I was talking to her about filming another gig that I actually have coming up, and she was talking about for the project she wouldn't take like less than 500. Like that's her going, like for this type of project that was her going fee. And I think I'm getting 250 for it, so which starting out is still pretty good.
So she's giving you half of it, or
so well it was like it's not her project, but I was asking her like what's her advice like on what like pay she would ask for. Okay. And she was like, on the low end I would go like 150, but like now with where she is now with the amount of work she's getting, she's like not taking less than like 400, 500. And so me and the person agreed to 250, which is pretty solid for like.
Is that 1 day, 2 days, or is that like how many hours? Is that?
It's 1 day.
One day. Okay.
So
it's not bad. Not bad for 18-year-old.
It's about like 2.5 hours of work, which is honestly like $100 an hour,
which is pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. It's but so yeah. The price, the charges, the pay rate can vary a lot, but it kind of just comes down to like the type of work you're doing, the budget that the customer obviously like has, and then just like the skill required and the type of project that it is.
Nice. Awesome. So going back to, well, I guess like kind of from my perspective in terms of business school, like the last probably week or 10 days, I've actually skipped almost all my classes. So it's been pretty bad, to be honest. Well, so in the MBA program in the first year, they have a core program. So you have to take 4 main courses. So those are accounting, economics, statistics, and then a management decision-making model. So it's kind of like Excel model course. So those are the 4 courses you have to take for the first semester. I was able to test out of 2 of those. I was able to test out of stats and accounting because I had prior experience in that. So then I was able to take 2 electives, which I actually really enjoy. One of them is like a startup, basically incubator, where I meet with other founders every week. We talk about progress in our startup. So it's not really even a class. It's just literally like, how are you doing, and getting accountability. And then the second one is an art entrepreneurship course, which has been pretty cool too. So it talks about like how artists sell their work and how they make money and things like that, and learning about the art world, which I think actually kind of overlaps a little bit with film and social media and all that as well. So the professor himself is actually not a professor is actually an influencer himself. Oh, really? So he has like 700,000 Instagram followers.
Wow.
And a couple of like best-selling books as well.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah, it's cool seeing him every week, and he's brought in a lot of great guests. One of them was Beeple, who I've talked to you about as well. The digital artist who sold his NFT portfolio for like $69 million last year, which is insane. So he called into one of the classes like 2 weeks ago and just like talked to us about how he built that following and how he was able to make that exit. So yeah, but basically like I kind of view it similarly, where I want to be doing things like, obviously I don't want to be skipping class all the time. It's not good to do that, but like for me, like even in the past week, I've skipped classes to do things like see Larry Summers, who's like he was a previous president of Harvard University. He was in the Treasury, the United States Treasuries, and renowned economist, literally like almost Nobel Prize level economist and politician. And he came to campus, and so I was able to kind of see him speak live in a room of like 100 people, which was awesome. Last Wednesday, I skipped classes to go to a CNBC like studio filming where like Ken Griffin, who's like the CEO of Citadel, he's worth like more than $10 billion. John Gray, who's the president of Blackstone, which is like the biggest private equity firm in the world, like like the CEO of Bumble, Whitney, I can't remember her last name. Like we had so many sick guests like at that event, and some of the Yale students were able to go. So I was lucky enough to basically attend like these live filmings and just kind of like see these people in the flesh. And what else? Like even today, like literally they had an event where they brought in an alumni from Yale. Her name's April Coe. She co-founded this company called Spring Health when she was 24 years old, still an undergrad. And literally in the last 5 to 6 years, the company now is worth over $2 billion. So they're like one of the biggest like mental health, like employer benefit startups in the entire industry. So she's like incredible. And she came to campus to do like a talk to, again, a room of like 50 people. And I was able to go to that and to actually speak to her, meet her, ask her actually a question about her business model. So like, I don't know, for me, and just like, I would much rather either be working on my startup, working on my ventures, doing the stuff we're doing right now, or like meeting like all these crazy people that you get to at places like Yale, than just sitting in a class and learning accounting, learning economics, like the basic of economics. So anyways, I'm going to still try to go to class, and like, obviously I'm studying for my exams and doing my assignments, but there's so much more I think that, you know, one can gain from being at a place like Yale or just in life, by getting out of the comfort zone and just like interacting with people and just doing things.
Yeah.
Like,
so to me, that goes back almost like, it's like what we were talking about last time, like with the whole debate, like, are you paying for what you're learning or the name of the name that's on your diploma? And like, the classes get you to that diploma, I feel like, and they are important, and like, you do learn things in them, but like, at the same time, it's as important to be like, and if like, to be doing the things that you will be doing hopefully eventually as a career, and like the things like, because again, you have to start those early or you'll like never start them. And I feel like when that clashes with your classes, I think those do take priority for a lot of people, and I think that's probably for the best. The end of classes, like, I mean, I'm DPing a short film for Molly next week, but I'm gonna have to miss class all of Monday for it, which like, that's okay, because like, it's something that I want to do. It's like, it's pursuing that dream, that passion, building on the skills that I want to build on, and it takes priority over the classes. It sidelines it, which, and like you said, like, you're still studying, you're still doing your work, but when it comes down to it, which one would you choose? I think most people would choose like their passions over classes, which I think again is for the best. But
I respect you a lot for that, because actually I'm going to push back. I think most people don't actually do that. I think most people will just do the good thing and be like the good student and just be like, no, I can't miss my class, so like I can't go to that event. And even today, I was actually a little bit surprised. I was shocked, and I was actually a little bit disappointed and almost ashamed by, you know, so many people in the business school say they want to do entrepreneurship and startups, and then April Coe, she is probably the biggest female founder in the tech space in the world. Wow. Literally, she's 30 years old. She started the company when she was 24. She's probably the youngest female founder that's made a unicorn, so $1 billion plus valued startup. And she's literally coming to campus just to share her story with us and to almost give homage to Yale as an institution that helped her in the early stages of the business. But like, the fact is, like, there were only probably 5 or 6 people from the MBA program that attended the event, and it was from 9:30 till like 11 a.m. Like, I don't know. I was just kind of flabbergasted. I'm like, why the heck are there not more people here?
Yeah.
Obviously, from my own self-interest, it was great because I got to speak to her one-on-one. I get to ask her questions about her business, get a photo with her. Like, there wasn't a crowd of people, and it was just a very intimate environment. But for the benefit of all of the MBAs that had the opportunity, and the rest of the school too, but like particularly the MBAs who had the opportunity to go to the Sci-City Venture Lab where we held the event, I was just like, holy crap, like, where the heck is everyone?
That actually is a good point. And like, yeah, like I actually think you're right, because like I'm speaking for others where really like all I know is myself. Like, that's what I would choose. But like, I think you are right. A lot of people wouldn't choose that. They would just stick with their schoolwork and their classes and not really pursue that. which part of that to me is also like kind of leads back to like the passion for a certain thing. Like a lot of people I've met at Yale, like in freshman year, like don't know what they want to do, like at all. Like they don't know their major, they don't know what they want to do as a career. And like they have their passions, but they're not pursuing it. Like they'll be doing music or like a cappella groups or something, but like, and those are their passions. They love to do those things, but they're not pursuing it as a career, which, I mean, each their own, but like, to me, when you don't like have those passions, like, or at least when you don't have those passions and you don't, or when you have the passions, but you don't pursue them as a career, it's like not a wasted opportunity necessarily, but like, I don't really know, I don't know how to put it into words, but there is a big separation, I feel like, between the people who really are invested in something and like have a true desire to do it and they're pursuing it in like the form of a career and education, compared to the people who are kind of just like following the set out plan and not like taking that risk, not taking that jump, or just like sticking with what's safe, which is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time they are, I feel like, missing out on some aspects.
So like in general, in your college or in your classes, do you feel like most of the students are just doing their classes, just having fun and really just that's it? Or are there some people you've noticed that have been really like intentional about making the most of this opportunity?
I think it's a healthy mix, honestly. Like there are kids who, one of my friends, David Fleming, he's like this crazy gymnast, like he's auditioning for American Ninja Warrior for next season. But he also has this like migraine invention that he's like working on a patent on, like a startup for that.
Whoa.
And so like that's all outside his classes, and like it's crazy impressive. That's like the kid, like I met him on the way to a frat party and we were just talking about it, and like that's the type of people you meet at Yale. But then you do have the other kids who like don't really know what they want to do. Like they'll be in like certain clubs or something, but like they don't know their major yet. They're still trying to find that interest and that passion. And again, like there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like it is a pretty healthy mix of people who know what they want to do and they are pursuing it with dedication and with like a goal set in mind, compared to people who are kind of just like adrift in a way.
Yeah, I think I have a little bit more sympathy for people that are 18 years old and they're just coming out of high school and going to college. But I respect your mindset too, because the earlier the better. At the same time, for the MBA students, I mean, most of them are at least 24, 25, 26 or older. They're coming from jobs where they were making between 100 to 150K or more a year. So they're taking 2 years of that off where they could be earning good money. And they're also spending a lot of money. The program itself costs $81,000 a year tuition alone, unless you get a scholarship, obviously, and there's other costs as well. So it's like a large investment. And a lot of the students I've noticed are still really trying to figure out their life. And I think that's part of the reason why they do MBA, but it's also a little bit confusing because then I think a lot of them just feel a lot of pressure to just go into these really traditional roles like we've talked about before. Consulting is the biggest one. I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to really explore their interests and their passions, and finding ways to make money in those passions during these 2 years, and also connecting with people and going to events, not just staying in the classroom. So anyways, I'm sort of ranting about that, but
I think it also kind of goes down like I do feel like no 18-year-old should necessarily have to know especially in this world, like what they want to do as a career. But like at the same time, we're forced to know that with how like you almost have to go to college. You have to have an idea in mind. I think a lot of that comes down to like high school education. Like I feel like we're so focused in high school and just even middle school, like your whole like teenage life, you're focused on getting good grades, passing your classes. The next step is in preparing for college. You don't really have time to think and pursue like and find your passions like at an early age. And some people do, and like those people are really lucky. But then like there's other people who are just stuck in that rut of like just taking it one day at a time, passing the classes, and like I think I'm really grateful for my parents and that they've always like pushed us to pursue our passions. I mean, they told us from a young age that like whatever we wanted, like they'd love it if like we were doctors and engineers and stuff. Like my dad's dream job for me was an Imagineer at Disney World, which is like creative engineer, like who works on the park rides, stuff like that. But they were like always supportive. They were like, it doesn't matter like what you want to do, we'll support you. And I couldn't be more grateful for it. but I think having that like influence at an early age allowed me to like kind of pursue and like make the jump to like do film instead of, because originally I was gonna be an engineer, like before I discovered film, and like I'd enjoyed writing like during that time, but like I never thought of it as something like I want to do as a career. So I was taking like intro to engineering classes. I was just gonna be like, go to college, be an engineer, you know. But yeah, I ended up taking film classes, and I realized I loved it and wanted to pursue it. And because like I had people who were supportive of me in that and like supporting my passions, I was able to, and I think that's why I'm where I am now. So I think a lot of it comes down to the support like people have at an early age, and I think a lot of people don't have the support they need to discover their passions, which is just, it's a tragedy.
Dang, that's that's really real. Yeah, I think there is a big component, like you mentioned, where mentorship or just finding those role models is really important to be able to break out of like that formula kind of just straight line thinking. Even for myself, like I just remember when I was working in finance for the first couple years of my career, I learned a lot. At the same time, I didn't really feel fulfilled, and I was trying to figure out a way to get out. And part of it was from my own making of just going out there and just getting coffees with people and just being super overeager. I was way too eager. I was just trying to meet anyone I could, anyone that I thought was like entrepreneurial or starting a business. I would just like email them constantly, just try to get a coffee, try to go to a conference that they're going to, just try to connect with that person. And a lot of people were not receptive, but some people actually did really take the time to share with me or even keep in touch with me, to share about what they've been learning or just what they're working on. And that's what gave me the confidence after the 2-year program in finance to really like leave my job and be a part of these entrepreneurial ventures that I've been a part of for the last 5 years prior to doing this MBA. So yeah, I think that's really important. It's like just like taking that opportunity to try to get out of the comfort zone and get those people that can support you in that. But it is really tough. What about you right now, though? So what are you going to do, though? So let's get tangible. Let's follow your dad's advice. Like, how can we... Literally, you have an MBA here that's sitting across the table from you. Like, how are you going to take these ideas you have, these passions? You love to write. You love to use these cameras to create beautiful content, which is incredible. I'm incredibly impressed with the quality of content you've been able to pull together in literally this small studio.
Thank you.
In very short order. So you have the skills, you have the passion, you have the platform here at Yale. What are some of the things that you can do, or what are some of the gaps you think that you need to resolve to be able to create a profitable and exciting business?
I think a lot of it comes down to knocking out the habit of procrastination, which I think I talked about this last time too. It's always been like I'd say it's probably my greatest flaw. I put off all these things I want to do just for no reason. I just procrastinate them, and it makes it really hard to do like and follow these passions and like achieve these goals that I have in mind. And I think that's where I need to start setting tangible goals. Like I was talking about, like a thing each week just to finish and be able to say, okay, I did this, and step by step, brick by brick, you'll build up to that end goal or whatever it may be. So I think that's honestly the biggest part is the procrastination, knocking out distractions, and just things like that prevent you from reaching your goals. And yeah, I need to have these I need to make them tangible. I need to have, and that might start with like something small, like maybe small achievable goals, and then once I start doing those, I'll get into the habit of reaching for these bigger ones. Like maybe I'll need to start with like, okay, I'm gonna have this great video up on my YouTube that's perfectly edited, because then it'll never go up because I won't be able to do that, or like, you know, the time it takes. So like maybe if it's just something small, like record a super quick clip in my dorm room of me talking to the camera about Yale or about film, and post it, and like step by step slowly build it up, slowly make it better. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I need to work on.
Do you think that's unique to yourself, or do you think that's something that a lot of students, whether at Yale or just in college in general, whether grad students, undergrad, do you think a lot of students go through that? Where and why do you think that is? Why do you think procrastination is such an issue?
I think a lot of people go through it, and I think So like I know for me, because I have anxiety, which I was diagnosed with, I forgot what year, and for me, like, I'm a really big perfectionist, and so everything I want to do it like try and make it perfect, but nothing is ever perfect, so I'll never be able to like achieve that.
I have to say I like that about you, because the product you make is very, very good.
Thank you.
And we've been working together for a very short period of time, and the quality of the product that we're putting out, I'm very happy with. So perfectionism, I'm happy with. I just want to make sure that you're mentally also in a good place too.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think college especially has helped that, but like it's gotten in the way of like my writing, for example. Like I don't write nearly as much as I used to as a kid, just because like when I can't, like I used to just, when I first started writing, when I found my love for writing, I'd sit down at a computer and just type away and not even think about what I'm writing, just write, because I enjoyed it, and I still love it, and I still enjoy it like that. Except now when I sit down, I think about the end product. I think of, okay, if this is going out, people are going to judge me for this. People are like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be what I want. When I just need to sit down and write it, because if you don't take those first steps and write that first draft, then, I mean, it'll never get done. And I think that's the same thing that like goes into a lot of what I do, is like the same thing with filmmaking, same thing with the YouTube channel. Like I've been thinking in my end goal in mind, like everyone wants to have like millions of subscribers and be making money off YouTube and turn it into their career. But it doesn't start with that. It starts with the first video you post. And so it's kind of like, to me, thinking in like the big scale of things compared to a small scale. And I need to start thinking more on the smaller scale and accomplish those smaller things first before I can move on to the big things. And that's kind of like what I was talking about, like with like the stepping stones, like brick by brick. Start with the small things, build it up, and eventually you'll get to what your end goal is. So I think it just kind of, I don't know, it has to deal with that.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that go through that exact journey when they're starting something. I think there's always that pain period, whether you're trying to go to the gym for the first time, whether you're trying to start a business, whether you're trying to create some sort of online platform or a YouTube channel. It's just tough at first because you don't have any track record. There's no one really affirming you. I don't know about you, but also I think a lot of people, when one tries to do something a little bit unique, people will try to say that's a waste of time, or they'll try to say like, why aren't you just doing your classes? They kind of just hate on people that are trying to break out and try something new.
Yeah.
Which I've experienced for sure. So I just started just doing stuff without really just telling people most of the time. I just try to, like when I did this post last week on YouTube and on LinkedIn regarding the startup scene at Yale and everything like that, like that first video got 5,000 views relatively quickly without any promotion. And I think that's just because I'm just like, yo, screw it. Let me just put it out there. Like, I don't even care. Like most of my classmates probably saw it, or like people from back home who are like, what the hell is Nathan doing? But hey, you just got to do it, because if not, then it just, I think just the inertia will just take hold, and it's really hard to get momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think not caring what, like, I think the perception that other people have of you is so strong in everyone that like sometimes that you care more about that than like the things you actually want to do. And that, like, I feel like is like all parts of life, like you said, like YouTube and like stuff like that, but also like going to the gym or like wearing outfits like you want to wear, like, or just self-confidence in general. Like you need to like who cares what other people think? They're not living your life, they're not you. So screw them and just do what you want to do. And I think that's a really good point. And I think that ties in really well with just like, yeah, just going at it, just jumping right in head first. Like, who cares if it doesn't work out? Who cares if it's bad? You're doing it, and that's what counts. And if you do it long enough, if you do enough of it, I mean, eventually you'll get somewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree. So like, how do you feel from perspective of just joining like the undergrad as a freshman and going to Yale College? Like, how do you feel from a peer pressure or just like kind of the pressure to fit in, and like how does that relate to potentially feeling self-conscious when you're creating content or putting out YouTube channel content?
I think it's been a lot better than high school, and it's kind of like what I was talking about last time. Like even though I've only been here for a short amount of time, like I can already tell a positive difference in myself in terms of my self-confidence, and just things like that, because I think it is a completely different atmosphere from high school, from your teenage, like childhood years. I feel like you're not focused, especially socially, as much as like what people think of you. Everyone's kind of on the same playing field. Everyone's new to the school. Everyone, like, and especially at Yale, me and my roommate were actually talking about this. Like, everyone you meet is weird in some way. Like they all just have something like weird. Like it's a good weird, but it's like weird.
Right.
Like this kid is going on American Ninja Warrior and he's an inventor. Like that's not normal. And like, or like this person like has like an album out already and they're 18 years old. It's like everyone you meet has something that like they're passionate about almost.
But is that weird or is that just super impressive? Like for me,
it's super impressive. It's like, no, like that's
Okay.
what, like it's weird in that like it's not common.
Yeah.
Like not like weird it's in and of itself, but just that it's abnormal for like the normal 18-year-old. And it like every single person you meet, like, and it takes time to like figure that out because they're not gonna like brag about it. Like it's very like, but eventually they'll come up and it's like, wow, like you do that. Like that, it's crazy. And so I think Yale itself is a really good space to pursue your passions and things like film and not really care what other people think because everyone has something like that of their own. And so like I feel like everyone kind of understands like what you're doing, where you're coming from, and like why you want to do it.
So do you feel like almost that you're blessed to be able to go to a place like Yale where being different maybe is actually not as strange as it would be if you were just in some other random town or something like that?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Compared, yeah, for sure. I think every college will have it to a degree, but I think some colleges are definitely better at it than others. Like, if I was going to University of Alabama, which is like the place where like a lot of my friends from back home went, like I can't speak for the school because I don't go there, but like the outward perception of it is that it's very like everyone kind of just does what they do and they get their diploma and they graduate and like they go into like their set career. Like I feel like a lot of people don't have those super quirky weird things about them that are like super impressive and cool. Like I feel like that's stuff you only find at schools like I don't know, like not necessarily even Ivy Leagues, but just like schools that are more open thinking, more focused on like the humanities almost in a way. I feel like a lot of this kind of ties in with the humanities and like that like area of careers and thinking.
Like liberal arts education.
Yeah. But like, yeah, for sure. I think I am super blessed to be able to go here and meet these people, be surrounded by this community. Yeah, everything I've seen so far, it's been the most supportive community probably I've been in my entire life.
Dude, that's awesome. Really happy for you. I think there's gonna be a lot of great things coming from you in the next couple of years.
Thank you, man.
Hopefully the next couple of months. Just to contrast, I think within the MBA program, I've noticed sometimes I feel a little bit like it's a factory to create these certain types of professionals. So, I mean, you got to take these, the core courses, which I think are good, especially if you don't come from a business background. I've talked about those. But just in general, just the way that they stream people through those different career paths, and you have to follow a very strict curriculum. In some ways, I think it's great because you can take a group of people from various different backgrounds and turn them into a very highly paid professional that companies will want to hire. So I think in some ways it's by design. At the same time, though, if we're trying to create a business program where you have people that are going to be involved in numerous industries and innovate and be on the forefront, I don't know if we're reaching that goal as well. Because it really creates an environment, I find, in the MBA program where there's a lot of peer pressure to go for, like I say, consulting or banking or big tech or Fortune 500 management, which is obviously going to be a good fit for some people. But I just think that a lot of people, even for those that it may not be a fit for, they feel very pressured. They feel a lot of FOMO for even if they have another interest, but they don't want to pursue that interest because it could be seen as weird. It could be seen as doing something that is risky or making a bad decision, and people might say, okay, why are you trying to do that? Why don't you just go to this McKinsey dinner that they have literally right now? I think they have one going on. Why would you not want to work at McKinsey? Why would you not want to work at Bain or whatever? So that's something that I've been grappling with for sure, and trying to figure out how to deal with that in terms of, I don't know, like just thinking about like my role on campus, like not to say that I have some big role on campus, but like what can I do to kind of make a positive influence on the culture of the MBA program?
Yeah.
If any, or should I just do my own thing and just see what happens with that and just not care? So like I kind of go between the two, but yeah, I think Yale College has a slightly different vibe just because it's a 4-year program. I think it's the stage of life that you're in, and just the breadth of courses that you're taking kind of gives you that opportunity to really explore, which is cool.
Yeah, I think talking like about the breadth of courses is honestly like, I feel like that's such a key point as well, because like again, like it's like you were talking about, like I feel like, I mean, I don't know because I've never taken one, but like master's programs I feel like are really like garnered towards, like you said, like one specific thing, and that's what you focus on. Whereas like, yeah, like undergraduate at Yale, like you have like a first year seminar that you can take, which literally has nothing to do with like what you're interested in, but it can be like super interesting. And I think that's just like the liberal arts education in general. It's just like kind of creating like an educated whole as a person. And I think through doing that, that's how you can find the things you're interested in and like things like that. And then again, I think it also does tie back into risk, which I feel like for a lot of people is such a big thing, and you touched on it. Because it is risky to do those things, to like pursue these things that you know like there's a really big chance that you could fail. Whereas compared to just following the set path, taking the classes, getting into this well-paying job, that you're almost guaranteed to have, like it's less risky. It's safer. But yeah, I think the risk factor is such a big part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like another aspect that I've always been interested in, I want to hear your thoughts on, is do you think that some people, I think we've talked about your background a bit, and maybe you could share a little bit, but like some people in the Yale College program, and I can talk about MBA as well, do you think some of them maybe feel less pressure to kind of pursue like business or to pursue like their interests in a commercial way, figure out how they can actually make money or kind of have a role, do you think some people do that because of their privilege? That some people, they come from, a lot of people think that, places like Yale or Harvard, like a lot of these people come from money, and that they have that sort of safety net so that, they can just kind of prance around for 4 years and then they'll always be okay. Mm-hmm. Do you have a sense of that at all? Or do you feel differently?
I personally haven't experienced that so far at Yale. Like I know there are the legacies here who are like insanely rich. Like I'm pretty sure Jeff Bezos' son is a student at Yale in undergrad.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think he's like a junior, but
okay.
Like, and it's like people, like again, like people like that, and like I can't speak for the Bezoses, but like because I don't know how like Jeff is gonna pass down his fortune and stuff. But like,
but even people that like their family, they don't have to have Bezos wealth, but like, it's just like they're like they have a good amount of money, and that the kids will be fine type thing. Do you feel that?
I think there for sure is an extent of that. Like I think for those kids, it's definitely less risky for them to pursue these things. And I think that like people who don't come from that background might feel the pressure stronger to do these set paths and like go through college and get this well-paying job, because they don't have that safety net. And I think that also ties back like, yeah, I think it definitely exists. I can't say to like what amount, but I don't think there's any world in which the background you come from doesn't affect the freedom you have as an individual in the world. I mean, even like going to college in general, like there's people like back home who like they can't go to college because they have to work and support their family, and like that's like they don't have the opportunity to pursue their dreams, like dreams that they have, passions that they have that they want to.
So you know people like that?
Yeah, I know people like that personally. And it's because they don't have that safety net. Like they can't afford college, they can't, or they just have to take care of their family or something like that. And it does suck, but like I think it definitely does exist.
Yeah, no, I can definitely feel that. So I always try to be mindful for people. I mean, from my side, I've always been a risk taker. That's just how I am. And like my father came from nothing, right? He was like a farm boy in northern Canada. My father's father, so my grandfather, was a Mennonite. He only had, I think, a grade 8 education. He didn't even go to high school. And he was working odd jobs as like a contractor to pay for 7 kids' livelihoods or or things like that, and didn't have any money to pay for their education. And similarly for myself, my parents covered my first year of college, but basically from after first year, I've been on my own. So I had to pay for pretty much almost all my college. I paid for myself through scholarships and working every summer. And since that point, I've just been hustling on my own. And it's really like taught me a lot of things, but at the same time, I can totally relate to, or I could see how it can be tough for somebody, like if they're going to be going to an MBA program, you know, they just want to get that stable security of being able to work at like a top firm. So I totally get that as well. And I think that it is something to be mindful of. At the same time, though, I think even in terms of wealth creation, and you know, people talk about equity and wealth creation and things like that for people that may come from minority backgrounds or from different socioeconomic backgrounds. I think that even actually the entrepreneurial route or doing something kind of different in the long run can actually lead to greater wealth outcomes as well. But it's a tough issue. It's a tough issue for sure. Yeah. No comments.
I fully agree. Like,
yeah.
It's, I don't know. It's difficult. The world is difficult.
Yeah. And I feel it too. Like I do have a sense too at Yale MBA, and I'm sure it's similar in the college, that like a lot of people in the program, not all for sure. There's definitely, you know, people from all different backgrounds or international students, things of that nature. But there are a large concentration of people that I think have families that come from this area. They come from Connecticut, New York, Boston, DC, sort of like the wealth capitals of the United States, which is the wealthiest country in the world. And they're very well connected. All of their friends went to great schools. They probably went to great high schools. And it's just like they have a network. They have I don't know, they just have this like level of understanding of the system, the financial system, what firms are good to work for, which ones aren't.
It's like they're automatically ahead of someone coming in at the ground level.
I think so, for sure. I mean, like, they have friends working at the top firms already. They know what it's like to work at McKinsey. They know the difference in pay between Chicago office and New York, or whether you want to go work in Austin or whatever. Like, it's just like, it's a different world. And for me as a Canadian coming in, it's been interesting. It's been interesting. And on the one hand, I feel really blessed to be able to kind of be with those type of people and learn the inner, you know, how the inner circle kind of works. On the other hand, I think of, oh, wow, what about those people outside of this bubble that are trying to make it? I mean, how are they going to succeed? So that's part of the reason why I wanted to create this content in this podcast, is like to try to give like an inner sort of looking glass into what we're learning and what we have access to here.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important. Yeah.
Yeah. And into this world. Because like, it's kind of, I mean, to me, it kind of goes back to like what I was talking about, like someone who could easily be a millionaire. Like, they have the smarts, they have the intelligence, they have the drive. They just can't because like of circumstances that they can't like help, whether it be like helping their family out or like, and like they have those passions, they have those dreams, they have like, and they have the means to get them in terms of like their own will and self-ability, but they just can't because of the circumstances that they were given just automatically into like either where they were born, who they were born to, things like that. And like I think those are the things that a lot of us take, that even like myself, like I think we automatically take them for granted because we don't recognize that, because we only live our lives, and so we don't see how hard it is for other people or how easy it is for other people. But yeah, I think that's a really, really strong point.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me the story about your friend he created some really great short films on YouTube. And then he was trying to go to a different school, I think, and then he ended up at... Can you share a little bit about that again, or if you feel comfortable, or...
I don't want to say the festival name, but...
Yeah, you don't have to.
But yeah, so one of my friends basically he was in the running for first place at this film festival for one of the categories, and he basically got screwed out of a full ride scholarships to an art school. I forgot which one, but one of the colleges of art and design.
So like a top school.
Yeah, like like one that could honestly like get you straight into like the industry. It'd give you the credentials, the experience. And he got screwed out of that scholarship because the sponsor of the category like that he was in the running for preferred another film over his, even though the judges were basically all going to choose his. Like the founder, like the head of the festival like comes to our school, and so like he was basically telling our teacher, like telling us this. He was like, you can't tell anyone, which oops, but
it got out.
Yeah.
Shit.
But
did your friend find out?
yeah, like he knows.
Oh,
but
shit.
like, so like, yeah, he got screwed out of that scholarship, and like who knows like what else down the road by that. And like, and he's at a good school now, but like it's like what could have happened if this one thing in life hadn't gotten in his way, if this one.
So where is he going to school now though? Like
It's a college in Alabama, but
okay.
Yeah.
But would you say the prospects coming out of that college are going to be different than going to that fine arts or whatever?
I think
program?
so. And he was really, really passionate about like all these, like about film and about comedy and like writing and things like that. And like I haven't been in contact with him, but I'm fairly sure he's still pursuing those things. But it's just a matter of, again, like what could he have done with those things and those writing skills and like his passion for it if he was at a school that was garnered towards that passion.
And was the financial aspect really important for that? Because if he didn't have a full ride, so he didn't get a full ride because he didn't end up winning the festival, right? But then, so because of that, he wasn't able to go to that school?
So I don't think he actually applied to the school itself.
Okay.
But it was basically a full ride and like a guaranteed admission
Wow.
with the award. And again, like I'm not sure if he ended up applying like just outside of it. But I know for a lot of people back home, like they went to school in state just because they couldn't, like their families couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of ties back into like these people might have the ability to become millionaires or like leaders in their field, or they have the smarts, they have the drive, but it's just the circumstances they were stuck with prevent that. Like a ton of my friends didn't even apply to any out-of-state schools. They knew from the beginning, like, oh, I'm just going to go to University of Alabama because like in-state tuition, I can get a good scholarship. Like it's the easiest to come out of with no debt, which
Potentially live at home or
yeah,
something like that.
which is like, that's fair. And like,
Yeah.
like that's all valid points, but like, again, like who knows what opportunities you're missing out on by not like reaching out and going into the world and like trying to go to an out-of-state college or a college that's garnered towards like your true passions or things like that.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that a little bit because I ended up choosing the school I went to in Canada because I pretty much almost got a full ride. I got nearly a full ride scholarship. And because the financial aspect was really important, because I was basically covering almost all my costs for the 4 years, that kind of made me make that choice versus some of the better schools, even in the US or in Canada. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think things worked out for me, and I think hustle will overcome most setbacks. But yeah, I do think about that sometimes. I think about, where, what would happen if I went to a different undergraduate school.
Yeah.
But hey, we all live life and we have our own journey. So
Yep.
I'm here now.
That's true. Yeah. It actually, I have a question for you. This is more, I guess, philosophical almost, but like, do you believe that we already have like everything happens for a reason? Like, are you along that line of thinking, or are you like, it doesn't, like, each thing I do like could go just a different way, or like, does that make sense? Like,
yeah. Like, do you think that it was like kind of destiny that I'm on the path I'm on?
Yeah. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think you were meant to go to this school, like, or like, do you think it's like all variable? Like, it doesn't matter. It's just.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I don't personally I like the idea that obviously there's a story of our lives. I think there's something comforting about that. At the same time, I don't like the mindset of relying on sort of outside factors. Like, I think, like, for example, right now, what happens the next 10 years, a lot of it is up to me.
Yeah.
And there's going to be certain. So let me say this. So maybe it's a mix. Maybe it's. I can't speak about the past. I can't speak about whether the undergrad was meant to be or not. But I think that in life, there's a mix of, there's the effort you put in, but then what ends up happening, the person you meet, that one opportunity that you find, and that is there some other force that's part of that? Is there some sort of spiritual force, or is there something else that's like kind of guiding that path?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think maybe there is. I don't know for sure how that works, but I could see that. But at the same time, I also know that in my life, when I've really been focused and I've worked hard,
it's paid off.
Yeah, things have come together. So I think there's a bit of both there. You can't just be like, oh, nothing's happened. I'm just sitting in my room and just like, but nothing's happened, and that's just the way it was supposed to be. It's like, no, get off your butt, get to work, and then from that point on, we'll see where that goes. And maybe that's fate.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I'd say I'm more along that line of thinking. I think probably a bit more towards like, I don't believe in like destiny and like that type of stuff, but like, I don't know. I kind of like, I am in the boat where it's like you control your own destiny. Like, because I think believing in that like fully, like you said, like letting outside factors control like what you do, it just gives you like a false hope and a false belief that you will succeed just because you're meant to succeed. Because I think like, I mean, everyone like, I don't know how to say this, but like everyone.
Be careful, you may hurt people's feelings.
No, like,
I'm just kidding.
Everyone is their own person, you know, and like, and each person thinks like they're important, like they're, like,
they're meant to be the one.
Yeah, and like that, like oh yeah, they will be.
Everyone's the hero of their own sort of movie, right?
When in reality, we could like die the next day. Like, who knows? And so I think like that's where that false belief can be dangerous. So that's what I think. I'm definitely more along the lines of like, you control your own destiny. Like it's up to you to achieve the things you want to achieve. But I think a part of me also still does believe. I kind of go back and forth, honestly. Like I between believing that like it's all up to you, and then also believing that like some things are meant to happen for a reason. And I think it may be like what you were saying, like it's a mix of both. But yeah. Yeah,
it's kind of like, why does somebody like, I don't know, like when you think about like some of the great success stories, there's an element of working your butt off, mm-hmm. right? But then there's an element of like just being in the right place at the right time, where you prepared for it and you're ready to take hold of it. Like guys like Bill Gates, right? Like he was able to go to one of the high schools where they had the first sort of computer programming, like old programming systems. And then he was able to go to Harvard, and then was able to drop out and start a business that was right at the perfect time, get that deal with IBM. Like a lot of things went in his favor, but he also worked his butt off more than anyone to also take hold of that opportunity. So I don't know, is that luck? Sometimes I think, is it just pure probability? I mean, he just was lucky enough to be there, and then he was able to take hold of it, or was there some sort of outside force? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think because like again, like probability, like it's gonna happen to someone. Someone's gonna be like the richest person on earth, and it's just like, and I guess the luck ties in is like, and you were lucky enough to be that person. Like like, it's not lucky that someone like did that thing. Like it's not lucky that Bill Gates is. I think he's the richest man in the world right now, right?
I think he's second. Yeah, I think Elon Musk is ahead of him now.
Okay, but like
if you talk about Elon, that's another one I'll bring up. But
Elon?
yeah, go on. Yeah,
but like
finish your point.
Let's say Elon. Like it's like it's not lucky that he's the richest man in the world. It's lucky that it was him that became the richest man in the world. I don't really know if that makes sense, but like
you're saying it was going to go to someone.
Yeah, but he's like, from his perspective, he's the lucky one to get chosen. And like again, it does tie into like your own hard work and things like that. But at the same time, there is, I think, an element of luck in that you as a person were the one who achieved that thing. Yeah, you can do a bunch of thought exercises, because I've read I don't know if you've read Ashley Vance's biography of Elon Musk, but he has a really great book about Elon Musk and his whole path. And I mean, Elon Musk had such a strange kind of path where he started off in South Africa. He had a really tough childhood. His father, I think, beat him and was at least verbally abusive in many ways. And I don't think even to this day they speak. I think he's good with his mother. But basically, Elon Musk was able to go to university actually in Canada. He went to, I believe it was Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario in Canada, just to get out of South Africa, because he knew he had to go to North America somehow. And Canada is a lot more receptive to South Africans than the United States is. So he was able to go to college in Queens. A couple of my friends went there too. It's a good college. And then from there, he was able, I think, to get a transfer during college to University of Pennsylvania,
where I was actually last weekend playing rugby against Wharton. But so he was able to do that. And then from that point on, somehow he was able to go to the West Coast in Silicon Valley. He started, I think, a mapping software or website with his brother, Kimball. And then from that point on, they were able to sell that to, I think it was Compaq for like $10 million or $50 million. I can't even remember. And then he was able to start basically what became PayPal, became part of the PayPal mafia with Peter Thiel and a bunch of Dustin Horowitz, a bunch of other guys. I don't know if I said Dustin's name right. But it's just like sort of like all of these events that kind of came together. But even the biggest thing that I want to talk about in terms of fate was there was a point where, and he's talked about this in a YouTube video, maybe we could pull the clip up, where there was a really tough moment. I think it was around 2000, and I think it might have been around 2008 when the recession was happening. Elon Musk had started SpaceX and Tesla. Right, those were his two main businesses, the rocket company and the electronic car company. And there was a point where Tesla was pretty much running out of money. SpaceX had still not proven that their technology could work. The core technology for SpaceX was a rocket that could go into space, launch, and that the landing pad, that the remaining thruster could land on a landing pad and be reused. And that was the whole core business model of SpaceX. He hadn't been able to do it successfully yet. So he was pretty much at a point where he'd run out of investor money. The whole U.S. economy and world economy was in shambles. No one was giving him money. He pretty much had, I think, like $50 million left from the PayPal deal that he did when the PayPal got sold to eBay. And he said, okay, I can do three things. I can either put all my money into Tesla and let SpaceX die. I could put all my money into SpaceX and let Tesla surely die. Or I could put half of my money in Tesla, half of my money in SpaceX, and there's a more than likely probability they both die, and I end up with nothing. And he ended up doing that third point. He ended up splitting the money between the two and gruelingly pushing through to try to figure out two really big problems: how to scale the production of the Tesla Model S. I believe it was the Model S, or it might have been the Model 3. I can't remember. And trying to solve the problem of getting the rocket to land on the landing pad by itself. And even to make things worse, with the SpaceX side, the fact that SpaceX still exists is incredible, because he ended up launching 3 rockets, and each time the rocket blew up. It wasn't able to land. And he said that each rocket cost like $10 million. So the first one, boom, $10 million, done. The second one, he's like, hey, we got to get this. We got to do this, because if we don't, NASA's not going to pay our contract. Boom, blows up. Shoot. Okay. Third one, boom, blows up. Fourth one, he's thinking, okay, do I even bother? Should I even do this? If this one blows up, it's done. Literally, the last $10 million. He throws up the last rocket and was able to land it. And that was what allowed him to get the NASA contract that saved the whole company. Incredible. Like, literally, I think if that fourth rocket blew up, I just wonder, like, what would have happened to SpaceX? What would even happen to Tesla?
Yeah.
What would have happened? I mean, it seems like such a far-fetched scenario. Like, and was that destiny? It almost might, for him, it must have felt like destiny.
Yeah. And that's, again, where, like, that whole, like, line of thinking ties in. Like, again, like you said, like, is that destiny? Is that luck? Is it his own skill that allowed that to happen? His, like, the decisions he made in life that led up to that choice to launch the fourth one? But, like, it's really interesting to think about. And now he's the richest man in the world. And, like, yeah. So, like, I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Just,
he could have easily been literally penniless. I mean, I'm sure he'd never be penniless because he's got so many connections. He's so brilliant. But he could have literally lost everything.
Yeah.
So many times. Even with the scaling of Tesla, there was many issues that happened. I think it was in 2016 where, again, they had issues and they were running out of money and they almost went to zero. They were like 10 weeks away from bankruptcy.
I remember seeing that on the news. Like
Crazy.
Tesla was like losing insane amounts of money for like, but like they were still just producing cars, and like everyone was still talking about Tesla as a company and like how good they were, and like, but yeah, like the company was like about to go under, and now somehow like they're still here. Like they're still, yeah,
By the way, it's extremely hard to do hardware businesses, especially in the auto industry, where you're spending millions of dollars a day on the factory floor. You're
Yeah.
buying all these inputs, right? You're buying all these frames. You've got all these robots. You've got all these people on the floor, and you're trying to produce a car that hopefully you can sell for 50 grand or 100 grand. But with him, what the issue was is he wasn't able to finish the quality of the product. He was putting all this money into the production, and for some reason he was hitting bottlenecks. He wasn't actually able to produce the product to deliver it to the customer so he could get paid. And that was the point where they almost hit bankruptcy. And he was able to solve it, and I just think that guy's incredible, how he's able to solve that in his team. But yeah, anyways, it's a side note. Hardware businesses are very tough businesses.
Yeah. I think it's like the perseverance that, because I feel like a lot of people, because he obviously has the skill, obviously has the smarts, like to, but I think like a lot of people have perseverance without that to back it up, and then I feel like that's when they fail. But like when you have, and I think perseverance as well is just like, not desire, but like just full on determination to do something. Like I think that's such a key part. Like you wouldn't have launched that fourth rocket if you didn't persevere, if you wasn't that determined and that determined to see it succeed. I mean, and then again, like, was it luck? Was it fate? Was it destiny? I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting, what do you call it? A thought question or a
thought exercise.
Thought exercise. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, look, the guy already made 150 million before he even started SpaceX and Tesla, and it's just like the fact that he was willing to risk all that for the success of those companies is incredible.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, kind of going back to, like, I still want to hear about your goals for the rest of the year. We've still got 3 months left until 2023. So, like, I don't know if you mind if we could do a thought exercise on kind of some of the things that you could do to really, reach those goals that you've talked about.
I think weekly goals are like a good idea. I think that's what I need to do. And like, I have a whiteboard like in my dorm.
Well, I've got a pen and paper right here, right now.
Okay, let's do it.
So like, yeah, like what are some of those kind of achievements that would really set you apart for the next 3 months? Put you on a good momentum.
I think a good start, just post my first video. Because I think once I do that, then the ball will get rolling.
Okay,
and,
so post video.
Yeah.
And what's that video going to be about?
And like, I think for that, it doesn't really matter. Because like, and again, like I can always delete it later if my channel does take off and it's like, shit. But like whether it be talking to the camera about Yale, doing a like deep dive into film at Yale, doing what Molly did, like reading my application and like what the reviewers said about it. Literally anything. But I just
do you want to say it here live what the video is going to be and just do it?
That's honest, and that way I would hold myself to it, and like
maybe, yeah. I mean, you don't have to do it, but
I don't know. I'll have to think on it because I'm still not fully sure what I want to start with.
But you already told me what your idea was.
That's true. I did just say it.
No, you told me even before this video, even before we started filming.
Wait, which one? Which idea? Or
you said you wanted to do a day in the life.
Oh yeah, like talking to the camera. Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
All right.
First video.
Post video, day in the life. When's that gonna happen? Is that gonna happen this month?
This month. It will happen. Yeah, this month, before the end of the month.
Okay, so before Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, we're gonna have a Halloween party here.
Really?
At the house, yeah.
Nice.
So come by. And I want to see this video posted.
Bet.
Cool. What about the podcast? Where do you see the podcast going?
I'm again, like I said this last time, I'm excited, but like I think just the more people we get on, the more, I mean, and like I mentioned it like when we started today, like you can already see it growing. Like we already got the headsets now, the new audio mixer. I mean,
we got the new hardware.
Yeah.
I've been bankrolling this. You got the upgraded Focusrite sound mixer. You got the Shure. This is actually a really expensive podcast mic. It's probably 3 times as expensive as the Rode mic. So I got that for you. Well, it's mine, but you can use it. What do you think about the headphones?
I love it. It sounds so cool hearing your own voice, like I don't know, with noise cancellation, and it's nice.
Yeah.
But like again, like second episode, and like we've already grown this much. I feel like it's gonna be awesome to see where it goes. But yeah, just the people we can get on. Should
we continue on the cadence of posting once a week, no matter what? Like as a kind of rough goal.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, so
just
that's a good one.
Keep pumping out the content. Keep getting out those conversations, the different people, and everything. Yeah.
I have to say, I really like the fact that we just put the content out there. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but like just that cadence of just being like, okay, every Friday or whatever day of the week, we're going to get something out no matter what, I think has just been really helpful for me because I can also procrastinate too.
Yeah, having that goal, that like set,
No, it's just like we have it in our calendar. We're just like every Friday afternoon, unless
I show up and
you just show up at the house and then we're like, okay, let's get something out there. Let's set up the cameras. Let's integrate the new hardware and let's see what we can put together.
Yeah.
And I have some plans for sure. I'm going to be a little bit more intentional about some of the content, some of the guests, and I actually want to try to get some really good guests on, like from Yale alumni or things like that. I would love to have April Coe at some point.
That would be awesome.
She's an absolute animal.
That'd be insane.
And it would just be crazy, but I don't think we're there yet. But at some point, I almost was going to bring it up when I saw her today.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I think, just that discipline alone, I think just creates a lot of momentum. And then like we're already getting stuff out on social media. We're getting cuts and different videos and clips from the podcast content, which I think is great. So expect a lot to all you viewers. I think we're going to see a lot on that front. Any other items? So you said you're going to post one video this month.
Yep.
We're going to keep doing the podcast stuff. What other stuff are you going to try to do? What about on the business angle? Because you mentioned you wanted to start proposing.
Yeah, I'll probably have to talk with you about like getting a good way to contact, either through email or just like go in person. Because like I've had different ideas like on how to do it, like how to start getting clients, whether it be like I forgot what the term is, but like when you almost go door to door, but like just going into like businesses and being like, hey, like I'm a videographer, I can provide my services for this rate. Here's my past work. Let me shoot something for you. And like, or doing, I don't know, like I don't know the best way to do it. And that's where I think like having like our relationship is really great. Cause again, you're in the school of business and like management. It's like, that's perfect. Like it's both sides of what I need.
So let's drill down on that. So in terms of providing kind of film, let's call it film services or whatever it is, right? Film production services. So like the first thing that as a business person that, that I would want to think about is really like, what are you offering? What are you going to offer these people? And who is your target market? Have you thought about that?
I don't necessarily have a target market because I think I'm honestly open to everything at this point because I'm just trying to get like, I feel like my goal right now is just to build my portfolio and I think with that comes like being able to provide lower rates. Because like starting out like as a new videographer to like the scene, you're not going to be requesting like these massive fees and charges per hour. And so I think being able to, if I can put out good content for these businesses at a lower rate than that like they'd pay for other people to do it, I think that might be a good way to get my name around maybe and also just be able to get clients.
Yeah, that I can see that. That makes sense. What I would say is really just trying to think about what you try to think it from the business owner's perspective. The business owner doesn't really care about your time. It's not their time that they're buying. It's not even the films that they're buying. What they're buying is they want to buy promotion. They want to buy awareness. They want to buy
what it will bring to them,
what it brings to their business, what comes to the bottom line. So I think if you want to make more money and if you want to be attractive to people, I think it's really identifying a certain product format. And we've talked about this before in film. I call all types of, even these podcasts, I call that a product line, right? And some of the motivational content that I put on YouTube, that's a different product line. So thinking of your services as a product, specific products. So you might have a product line that is catered towards restaurants. And it may be a package where you're putting together, you're saying, hey, I'm going to really help you build traction for your business by going on social media and creating awareness through different types of video content and kind of putting that into a package of, okay, over the next 3 months, I'm going to create 12 TikTok videos or something like that. And then I'm going to help you create, some videos about your restaurant experience and put that on YouTube and help you. And you could even integrate, I don't know if you integrate it with their website or something like that. And really kind of showing what that could be valued at and then charging a flat fee of say, hey, like I'm going to charge you, I don't know, $3,000 for that over the next 3 months.
Yeah. That's honestly a great idea. Cause then you have like a set thing that they can expect from like you, like you said, like just instead of just being like, here's this video, like I shot for you and like edited. It's like it's like a set plan. I mean, they know what to expect.
Because they don't care about the video.
Yeah.
They really don't. Most don't.
Yeah, what it
They care about the customers coming in from the video. So they want you to be the one posting. They want you, unless they have a social media manager, which most small businesses do not have.
Yeah. That's actually something I've thought about as well. Like getting also into the social media managing side of things. And like, I'll probably watch some videos and like try and educate myself more on that. Because I'm definitely like more on the artsy, creative videography type side. But I think that's where I could see the most profit as a business if I did like pursue it, is like mixing videography and that type of content with social media managing, and kind of like you said, like a package thing, like where it's like takes over the place over like multiple months or just period of time. And it's like, I will put out this content for you on your social medias and do it like that. And I think that's where like I could potentially see the most money coming in.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I am somebody that I'm a big believer in, and I watch a lot of the YouTubers that are focused on kind of business, online sales, and things of that nature. One big guy is Alex Hormozi, which I don't know if you've followed him, but I'll send you a link to Alex Hormozi. He's a brilliant guy. He created a business that he sold. He's created multiple businesses, mainly online-oriented marketing businesses that have sold for like I think over $100 million. Wow. And he's only in his early 30s, so he's done exceptionally well. But one of the biggest kind of tips that he has is, geez, we got some New Haven's lit tonight. Friday in New Haven. Woo! Yeah, those guys come out on Friday usually. But basically, like what he talks a lot about is kind of creating a product again. Creating a product, and particularly products that are high ticket. So a high ticket product is where you kind of make a commitment over a certain period of time of what outcomes you're going to produce, right? And then really just offering, those outcomes, if you achieve those outcomes, making those outcomes so valuable to the client, right? And making them believe that you can charge an amount of that up front. And usually, and high ticket is usually something more than $2,000, between $2,000 and $12,000. That's really where you can start to make really good money. So yeah, and people will pay it because it sounds like a lot of money when you think about it. Like if you're thinking about your service as $20 an hour or something like that. What, $2,000? That's another level. Yeah. But really, like, people will pay that. I mean, businesses to function nowadays will have revenues of at least $1 million a year, right? So if you can provide the value of increasing their top line through video content or social media, why wouldn't they pay you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000? Alex Hormozi's main product that kind of was his first big win was actually an online marketing platform for gyms. It was called Gym Launch. And basically what he did was he actually started contacting gym owners online through Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And then he built a sales team of people that would basically attract those gym owners, explain to them this framework of how they could help increase the sales of their gym, get more members in, start selling supplement lines, having personal trainers that, charge higher packages. They had this whole like framework, this whole kind of way to kind of double the sales of a gym. And Alex actually was able to package that product into an annual subscription for $42,000 a year. Wow. Can you imagine that? And it's a product that is not physical. There's nothing physical. He's not selling a BMW or a Rolls Royce or something or an iPhone. He's selling that information, knowledge, and the coaching and that system for $42,000 a year. Why was he able to charge $42,000 a year? Because he was able to increase the top line of his customers and convince them that they were able to increase their top line by $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year.
I do have a question. How much of that, like the top line, like how much of that is like real, and how much of it is like him as a salesman? Like how much? What do you think? This is like, I guess like, and like when you're telling like a client like what they'd be able to expect from your services, like in terms of an increase to their like overall like revenue or profit, whatever. Like how much of that is you as a salesman like hyping it up and like selling it, and how much of it is actually, do you think, going to come like from your services? Like in his example, for example, like what would you say?
Yeah, if I kind of understand your question, I think So first of all, I think sales is a huge part of it, of anything. Because if you're not able to actually convince the customer and also to have the balls, have the guts to really charge what you think you're worth, you're never going to make, you're never going to make that type of money. So I think that's number one. I think just the fact of creating an investment from a client really aligns the salesperson or the service provider and the client to create a shared outcome together. So I'll give you an example. So like if you're going to do film products, right, to help increase the sales of Haven Hot Chicken, which is one of the more popular up and coming restaurants here in New Haven. All right. So if you go to Ed, I think his name's Etkin, the owner, I met him at the business school, came by. So if you go up to Etkin and you say, and he actually mentioned he wants to do social media stuff too. So this, you actually might be able to pitch him. So if you go up to Etkin and you say, hey, like, how are your sales doing or whatever? Like how much of your sales, what's your presence? Go through that. What's your presence right now on social media? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a TikTok? Do you have an Instagram? How many followers do you have? How many views are you getting every week? XYZ. All right. And then you say, okay, how about this? If we put together over the next 12 weeks, we're going to put together weekly content coming on through this. We're going to put together coupon codes. We're going to try to build some buzz. We're going to create a special chicken burger day, in a month. And we're going to try to get people in through the door. Right. And say, hey, like, I think that this can actually increase your sales over the next 12 weeks by $100,000. Right. It creates, I think, a really kind of like shared, it creates a target for both of you to try to hit.
Yeah.
Right. If he's going to, and I think that's something that Alex talks about. Anyways, I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but basically it's sort of like, hey, I'm going to charge you $10,000 for this. And it's almost like that $10,000 symbolizes the commitment of the client to really try to go for this successful outcome. And also you're putting your own kind of guarantee on the line as well. You may even have some sort of refund policy. Say, hey, if I don't hit at least $50,000 increased sales versus the last quarter, then I'm going to give you back all your money. Right. So that creates a really aligned outcome where both of you are working really hard to try to hit that target. Because one put down $10,000 today and the other one, if you don't hit it, then you have to give it back to him or give him back half or something like that. And I think that's really the power of creating these types of packages and high ticket sales is the buy-in from the customer. Not to talk too much about it, but another big area where people can do really well with high ticket, and it's not a glamorous industry, it's personal training industry. If you go up to someone and you say, hey, look, I'm going to help you lose 20 pounds over the next 12 weeks. This is the program. This is what I've done. Here's some testimonials. And I'm going to charge you $6,000 over the next 12 weeks. But you've got this wedding coming up, or you've got this vacation to the Caribbean coming up. And, this event, you really want to look good. You want to fit in that dress, or you want to look good in front of whoever. If you want to get that outcome, I'm going to charge you $6,000. If you get the buy-in from the customer, if they're willing to put down $6,000, that really shows their commitment. Yeah. And they're going to really do the best they can to try to get that outcome. Obviously, you as the salesperson also have to really provide the tools and provide the framework for that person, because that person doesn't know how to lose 20 pounds. Yeah. So you got to have the expertise too. You got to follow through. So it's really a shared outcome goal. And I think that's something they don't teach you in business school for the most part. They don't teach you the aspect of real salesmanship. And I wish that they did. Yeah. There's a couple of our professors that have started to. The ones that have done more entrepreneurial, the practitioners. But the academics, I think academics don't understand sales on an intimate level. Yeah,
that's good advice. So it's basically just like having the confidence in yourself and in your like product to like full send it and be like, hey, like this is what we can do. Let's do it. And like, cool. That's cool.
And it might take you a couple tries before you have that confidence, because you may not have the track record. You've never done that before. So you might have to charge lower for a little bit. But then once you hone in on it, and once you have a track record, then you can go to people with confidence, and people love confidence. And you say, hey, look, this is what I can do for you. If people are, if they believe in that, if the way you speak is with a tone of confidence, people usually buy. It's strange.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited. This is I'm excited for just like the future of this year in terms of like with the podcast, just like I don't know, everything. I'm excited.
Awesome, man. Well, I think that this is, I don't even know where we're at in terms of time right now, but yeah, I think that this is a good kind of segue into kind of closing off, and yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you wanna say before we kind of shut it down.
About to go eat at Sally's Pizza, so that's gonna be good.
Oh, nice. Good.
But yeah, family weekend is this weekend, so family's coming in. But
are they in today or tomorrow?
They're in today. I'm like as soon as I leave here, we're getting dinner together. And
awesome.
So I'll see them. But
good. Yeah, I'm actually getting dinner with a couple friends from the MBA school. One of my friends, Johnny, has a girlfriend who's from actually Spain. She's from Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
She's been coming in, so she actually just got in today. So I'm gonna have dinner and meet her for the first time. Oh,
camera.
There you go. Perfect.
Yep.
There you go. That's it. That's it. It's out. We're out. To the next one.